Hi guys, welcome back at the new episode of Choco Zone Podcast. I know it's Christmas time, and so for this we have a special guest, a sort of gift for all of you. The special guest is so special because he knows a lot about chocolates, about bean to bar productions, and he has links all over the world with the chocolate makers. And he is also the founder of the International Chocolate Awards, the best academy that can value the chocolates. So here we are. I am really proud to have in our podcast Mr. Martin Christy. Hello, Martin. How are
Hi,
you?
Martin.
Umberto, hi, Giuseppe. It's very privileged to be with you guys. Very important contributor to the world of good chocolate and helping chocolate makers to make good chocolate.
What is Martin Christie before to become this rock star for the chocolate world?
Well, I think I always liked chocolate from being a small child, and I was born in Slough in England, which is where the Mars factory is in England, the historic Mars factory. So, and I was born at home, so I like to imagine the wind came from the factory that morning and somehow got into my lungs. And from the age of 2, I lived in Birmingham, which was Cadbury's country. So I always grew up with not good chocolate, but with an interest and a passion for chocolate. And as I got older and I got more interested in what was behind food and the health aspect and the sourcing, and really, I guess the late 80s, 1990, I started to discover we got for the first time Lindt 70%. We had in the UK Green and Blacks, Maya Gold, which was 70% then. It was the first fair trade bar. We started to see these small ideas of something more interesting. Lindt 70% came along. And then one day I was in Harrods looking around the confectionery department at all the kind of classic brands, which maybe now I don't think are so great, but looking at the dark chocolate.
Yeah. The imagine is great.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of one aisle, in a very discreet stand, black and with red, and this is going back probably 1992, I think, was this French company I never heard of, Valrhona, which is very discreet packaging and small books explaining their products. And I bought some bars and I walked out of Harrods and I opened one of the bars and I tasted this. And I realized there could be something else, that there was another level, that there was something different. And that one bite led me to buy more, to explore more. We had Bonin arrive in the UK about that time. We had Michel Cazelle before they kind of made the origins. And at that time, I was a musician. I was a computer programmer as well. And we were bringing chocolate into the studio and trading it in pubs, like in silver blocks, like it was something not legal, buying kilos of couverture and swapping it. And around 2000, when it was the dot-com bubble, with some friends, we created a small web agency, which didn't survive the bubble bursting. But our sort of test site to play around with was my interest in chocolate. So we made 70%.com. And that site survived. And 70%.com back in those early days was one of about 3 websites in the world about fine chocolate. So I was kind of lucky to be early with this. And we started to review chocolate. We made a forum. We sold chocolates. For the first 6 months of the forum, it was me and my friends attending 3 different people talking. But then we started to get people from Germany, from Switzerland, from the US, start to join us. And then my big surprise, I never expected, we started to get people from cacao countries, Guatemala, Ecuador, to log on and start to talk to us and to go, kind of, hello, we're the people making this, producing this fine cacao, but no one knows us because all our cacao goes into the big blends. Nobody knows us. So, as that journey went on, I got more and more drawn in. One of our partners and founders in the awards and the institute, Maricel Priscilla, long before I met her, I read her book about 2002, A New Taste of Chocolate. And that was like an epiphany for me to realize that behind chocolate is this whole subject of cacao. And that in itself was very, very interesting. So I think for everyone, I'm sure for you as well, chocolate is a journey. It's kind of dangerous when you start in chocolate and you get drawn into this world. And we know it, guys, it takes you over. So, bit by bit, I got more and more involved, and we started the Chocolate Awards in 2011. We began the ideas for the Chocolate Awards, and it grows and grows, and it becomes your life. And I never planned that, but that's how I got to chocolate. And I'm very lucky to have been around the world, tasting so much chocolate, and every bar you taste, you learn, you grow. There's new flavors, new chocolate makers, new machines. So it's become very interesting.
So when you realize that with in the world of chocolate, you need the world of artisans, of the bean to bar chocolate makers, need an organization to be recognized in the world.
Well, for some time, I developed the idea to have a course about chocolate, which actually I will tell you the story began in Guayaquil in Ecuador in 2007 or 2008, when a friend there asked me and another chocolate expert person to go and present, and without telling us, the organizers planned a one-day workshop in chocolate. We thought we were going to do chocolate tastings for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So I arrived in the morning, and actually people have paid $100 and are going to make a workshop about chocolate with no material, no planning. So my colleague who was there did something in the first hour and a half, and because it was my friends who were organizing, I was left to invent one day of games and experiments and things to do with chocolate. I remember in the lunchtime, I was thinking to throw myself in the river because I don't know what to do. But it was very tough. But by the end of it, going away, I thought, well, actually, this could be a course. So in time, I developed that into a slow chocolate course with 70%. And as you know, our colleague Monica Meschini in Italy was also doing training, and we got talking, and with Maricel Priscilla as well, about how we could formalize that training into something similar to the kind of program you have with SCA, with SCA in coffee, or with wines and spirits, WSET in wine, because we really felt that for chocolate to be a serious subject, it needed a sort of professional, real training program to go along with the growing craft chocolate movement. Yeah. So this is how it came about and became formalized. It was a long journey, and to be accredited as a learning center as the International Institute of Chocolate and Cacao Tasting took a lot of work, but now we're very happy we have a base to build on, and we have at least over 1,000 students who've been taking the course.
But according to you, because I don't have very clear when the bean to bar chocolate movement started. You said that you started your I mean, your experience in chocolate in 1992. Okay, the everybody thinks that the early 2000 is more or less the right date, of when the movement started, because the first US chocolate makers started making their own chocolate. Okay, but according to you, that you had this experience so before the 2000, when do you feel that it's the right moment in time where the first crafters started making their own chocolate, where the bean to bar movement was born? When exactly?
And I think it's really 2006, 2007, it started to become more of a
Yeah,
practical thing.
yeah,
And it's not ancient history. It's not so long ago. We've seen such a movement, such an explosion. And this as much as we know it through the awards. Every day there is a new chocolate maker somewhere in the world. And I think it's one of the most creative and innovative times in the chocolate world. We just need the consumer to understand this as well as
yeah.
as all of us.
This is the hardest part. I mean, to educate people to good food.
Yes, yes, it's a slow progress, but I think there is we don't see it in a way because we've been doing it for a long time, and it's still the frustration to have more recognition. But the consumers moved a long way in that they now, I think most consumers know that dark chocolate exists, that high percentage chocolate exists, that it comes from different countries for the cacao. It's just transitioning them to understand the real value and pay the right price and not think of chocolate as a cheap
If you see also
food to
the big
consume
industries,
and pay the price they pay for a beer or a
yeah,
chocolate bar.
exactly. But if you see also the big industries are changing the way to propose their chocolate. They have some new brand, some special edition of their chocolate that it is similar to the craft one. And we have a lot of people that work with us, that follow us. And one question that I have often is what I have to do to participate to the International Chocolate Award. Can you explain to us what they have to do?
Well, the basic rules for entry are very simple, and in a nutshell, it is that it must be um, chocolate without preservatives or additives or artificial flavors, and a minimum percentage, 60% and 30% for milk. So anything that gets past that can be entered. And I would say, in the last few years, we have many innovative new entries, sometimes from different segments of the market, who, as you say, larger players trying to be involved. Um, I think the sort of criteria to win is to have an understanding of flavour. I think that would be the single biggest point. Is chocolate making is exciting as a subject and a craft, and there's lots of technical things and engineering challenges, which are all very important, and sourcing. But to me, the people who are doing well are the people who have an understanding of flavour and also always want to learn. And I don't necessarily mean, oh, they must learn from us, but their attitude in life with food and chocolate is always, how can I be better? How can I do something new? How can I develop? And to me, these are the companies who win often, or the new companies who come in and just someone has got a great sense of taste. But the most important thing for us is, does it taste good? Does it make me happy? Keep emphasizing that the cacao is not the staple food. Cacao is grown to make people happy, whether it's a very cheap candy bar or it's a very expensive craft chocolate bar. So that should be the criteria. Do I like this?
Yeah.
Do I want to buy it again? Do I want to pay €10 for it?
Yeah, there is not best chocolate, perfect chocolate. There is a chocolate
No,
that you enjoy and that you like.
no, and it's to me the interest. People sometimes say, "What's your favorite chocolate?" But I can't answer that diplomatically. But I never could anyway. It would be, okay, I'll give you a list of 20 I like at the moment, or this one is really interesting, or this batch. It's another thing consumers and the industry needs to understand. And one thing we're looking at with the institute, with statistical evaluation of samples, is there's a lot of variation, but that's part of the fun.
Sure.
The enjoyment in the whiskey world, which is well developed. There's a whole movement of bottling single casks. So you might go to a distillery, and all the distilleries, almost all of them, are owned by multinationals, all the Scottish distilleries. And they have a sort of average flavour that they work on and develop, and they're very expert at that. But the interesting thing is to take one barrel, one cask, where you get 280 bottles, that has a unique, distinct flavour, and bottle it as it is, cask strength, non-chill filtered, and you get these fantastic, amazing flavours, but it's that one cask. There's 280 bottles, and you will never get that exact flavour profile again. And we need a bit more of that attitude, I think, in the craft chocolate world as well. It's an exploration of flavour.
Sure. And I know that is different from region to region, to area of the world, from other area, but can you tell us more or less how many entries, the average, how many entries you normally get from chocolate bars or chocolate products in general?
Well, in 2019, we had 3,400 products submitted, and including the World Final, we did over 4,000 individual products tasted.
And the percentage of the one that, let's say, goes on, go on and get to the final awards?
Well, to win a world gold is under 2%.
Wow.
So it's important to understand that it's not a sport, it's about recognizing quality. And also it's important that because we are spread around the world, it might look like in the industry, we give a lot of prizes, but if you are the only chocolate maker in your country or state or district or region, it's a very important big thing for you. We have some people win a bronze and they're so happy and ecstatic, and they can use that to put them on another level and to be taken seriously in their country, in their family, or with the press, that chocolate is a serious thing. So for us, it's about recognition of people who are doing a good job, going in the right direction, and with a good attitude to improve. And we have seen huge improvements in quality. I would say the European bean to bar entries this year were all good chocolates. Very few of the entries had serious problems, and that's a big improvement. 5 years ago, you could say about 2/3 of them probably had some kind of issue. So that's a pleasure. We're now choosing, everything's good, and we're choosing the best ones, or what we think are the ones which are the most exciting, adventurous, have the best flavor. But all the others are still good chocolate bars. So that's very good development, I think.
So one thing important to say is that I follow you for a long time, and I also in and out. So I am in because FBM is a sponsor, but I am out also because I talk with other customer or chocolate maker that they don't present their product, and a lot of people say, oh, all these prices that they give, but you are saying now that in last year you have seen more than 4,000 different products. So it is not so many prizes that you give to the chocolate makers. One thing that I am curious, you have a frame in the there is bronze, silver, and gold.
Mm-hmm.
which is the parameters that you use to give these prices?
Because sometimes it happens that there are not bronze or no gold for some category, correct? It's not that first, second, and third always there will be someone that wins
No,
something.
no,
No.
no. So exactly, it's not a sport. And what I can say is from this year, we've introduced a new scoring system, which is based on the Institute's chocolate and cacao flavor profiling system, which is something I've worked on, and we now are working on together. But Alex Rast and I have been working on for 13, 14 years. And Alex Rast is a computer scientist working in neural networks at Oxford Brookes University and one of our grand jury. So we have what we think is probably the most scientifically developed system based on a model of how we taste chocolate put through a neural networking chip to create this neural network model. And from this, we've developed a scoring system, which with a lot of statistics we have refined in something we think is very reliable. And we have tuned it from this year. We had some discussion about this, but we've tuned it from this year to be the same standard as the coffee scores. So you will get the score out of 100, where 80 and above would be considered to be a quality fine product. And in the coffee world, really 82 and above is something like a decent coffee. So from this year, we're using this system. We will be publishing these scores, and we will publish the scores gradually in different categories, but all the Origin Bean to Bar scores from this year we will publish. And this will give, I think, people a better idea of what we do. So to win a gold, it's not a set score, but the gold would normally go to the best scoring product in a category. However, if the grand jury feel that the scores in a category were not that high, and maybe for whatever reason, that year, that category in that country was not so great, we won't automatically give a gold to the highest winner. And in the same way, now we have sort of scores where we approximately know what's a gold, silver, and bronze, but it always must allow for that competition, that region, the cultural background within certain parameters. So, it's quite possible, yes, there could be a gold. Occasionally there's two golds if it's a statistical tie. But if there's nothing else close to it, then we won't give any silvers. We might. So there are some categories where we have given no prizes. So it's not a sport. It's not just because all the products were not great and the least worst one gets the prize. The criteria for the grand jury is, would you put your name to that prize? If you were in a shop and there's another person shopping, would you be proud to say, I helped to give that the world gold or something? I can stand behind that prize. Mm-hmm. So that's an important part of it as well.
Yeah, and do you feel that there is some kind of interaction between the International Chocolate Award and the chocolate makers? I mean, someone that didn't score anything. I mean, they didn't do that year. They didn't do something, such a good food, good chocolate. Do you give them some sort of feedback? Do they come back and reattend the award, and then maybe they improve their own food and they get some awards eventually?
Yes, definitely. And I would say at the moment we're about to release a new and much more detailed feedback system. And for any entrants watching this who maybe been frustrated about not getting their feedback fast enough in the past, I apologize, but we've been building this new system. But generally, yes, ever since 2013, when we started using electronic forms, we've had some way to give feedback from the judges. And we've done this through constructed options that judges can choose rather than written feedback, which we found didn't work so well. And yes, there are plenty of our winners now, or well-established names in the chocolate world, who I hope we played some small part in their journey, because sometimes you can have a great product, but it's just not coming together, or the roast was too high, or you used great ingredients but they didn't quite balance together, or you could try a different chocolate. So I hope that we've helped to carry some companies through to better and better quality. I understand not everyone wants to enter awards, or not everyone wants to enter every year. It's the winners of International Chocolate Awards. We're not necessarily saying it's the only good chocolate out there, but we can see from our regular winners for sure. We've seen people on the journey, and also now we see many new chocolate makers come through on our courses, and people are looking to learn. They go on maybe a whole bunch of different things they're learning with and courses, and we've seen people who've been with us, and through that, and in some cases have had a revelatory experience about what they could do with their chocolate, and then 2 years later they're winning big prizes. Now, to me, there's no shame in that. That's a good approach, and as we grow, I see this being part of a professional community, just like you might have in wine or coffee, that looks at excellence, understands the developments in industry, learns more together. We collectively learn more, and that helps to get the industry to have better and better chocolate. And my ultimate interest in this is I want to eat good chocolate, and if I help that to happen, I'm very happy, and help as well to support cacao farmers to grow good cacao, because again, I'm only being selfish. If cacao farmers are not paid enough to grow good cacao, I won't get any good chocolate. So that's how we hope we can help.
In the world of chocolate changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Really, and we have seen, we can say more than others. But how do you see the chocolate in 2030, for example, the world of chocolate?
Well, I'd say one thing we definitely see every year but growing is innovation and new recipes and people being inventive. And to me, this is like the mid-19th century, when modern chocolate was really invented by people whose names came to be multinationals, but Nestle and Peters and the Fries and the Cadburys and the Suchards and the Caffarels, people who are experimenting, and the things everyone takes as normal now for what a chocolate bar is, for this kind of format, was invented in the 19th century, really. And I think with the same kind of moment where the small scale equipment and equipment from people like yourselves has set people free to develop new ideas and new recipes. One of the things that happens with the chocolate awards is every year we have to review our categories and adapt them for all the innovation. So we used to try and have dark milk, or we had certain prizes for rough ground, but now we have people doing alternate theobroma drinking chocolates. It's like every possible recipe.
Yeah, I remember in Italy, I remember some very unusual category. Remember something about the filling of the bars, isn't it? 2017.
Yeah, exactly. We have naked filled, a filled bar without the coating.
Exactly. That it sounds so strange to me.
Well, it was amusing as well to say you had a naked bar. So, I mean, I think also something we've contributed is some of our definitions have gone back into the language. So talking about inclusions and infusions, categorizations we made. So in 10 years' time, what I think definitely will happen is we will see new countries and Asian countries, for example, coming in with a new approach. And we're already seeing that in Taiwan, in Thailand, in the Philippines. We will see it in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in China, and taking, because they don't have the cultural background, which is a disadvantage, but because of that, they don't have the same set of rules. So in some ways, they're going faster and taking what they know about the coffee movement and thinking, well, how can we do this fermentation? How we can do this completely differently? So they're going so fast that they might go faster than the Europeans and the Latin Americans and the Americans. So I think that's going to be very interesting in development. I think,
which is that you mentioned about the different area. I know that you should not tell that, but in this very moment, which part of the world do you think is more creative, according to new ideas or new? How can I say? Don't say creative, but braver. Which are the braver chocolate makers? There is a particular region where they are more,
Well, I think you can see it everywhere. And I think it's more like you can see some people and some companies are braver than others. And the great thing about this is, this is very much a connected worldwide community. So when someone does something, one side of the world, on the other side, and it's more difficult now with COVID, but normally we'd meet at shows and be tasting and exchanging, and those ideas spread pretty fast. I think sometimes the traditional chocolate areas in Europe and the US can be a little too focused on their own ideas and miss what's happening in other places. So to me, a very good example you will know as well is Peru. And the Peruvians in 10 years, in 2010, they had almost nothing. They had, I think, Chatel happened to have a chocolate that had started, but almost nothing. And now some of the best chocolate is coming from there, from a growing country. And they've learned to interpret their own cacao, I think, better than anyone else outside. And I think everyone can learn from that. So, and having an interpretation of the cacao which is very fresh, very vital, throwing away some of the rules about roasting and refining. So that's very exciting. And
one of the things that impressed me the most of Peruvian chocolate maker is how they include the cocoa makers. They have always a very strict relationship with them. They always thank them for the wonderful job the cocoa maker makes in fermentation, or there is a very, very strict that I've never seen in other part of the world. In Peru, in that country, is very, very, I would say it is one of the best features they have.
No, it's a very good model. You can see it beginning, like in Colombia, we see this beginning. You can see it coming along in some Caribbean places as well, Trinidad, for example. And also, yes, and I think Brazil as well is people are seeing what the Peruvians did, and they're kind of following along with that. And it's a reason why a lot of our winners, not all, but a lot of our big winners have been from growing countries, because they've had the feedback loop and the understanding of the cacao. And I think that's a very good development. And I think sometimes the Europeans, us Europeans and the Americans, we can take, a bit of a sort of distant, almost colonial kind of attitude with it. but we can see the best results we could get could be by working closely with the cacao farmers. And for us, many of our good winners are the ones who are working directly, the Europeans and the Americans, working directly with farmers. So I think this has got to be more part of the landscape. But you both know, even in the last 4 years, you could say the distribution of good quality cacao is many times better than it was.
Sure. Yeah, that's for sure.
This model of cacao growers in getting their cacao into Europe, into the US. So I think we'll see a lot more of that. There's much less bad cacao around in
definitely.
the cacao world.
So Martin, it has been a big pleasure to have you in our episodes. We thank you a lot, and
thank you.
We will see very soon, also over the COVID, I hope.
We hope.
Thanks
to give a big hug.
For your good work. Thanks for your good work and support, and I think for helping, all together, helping the chocolate world to grow. And I think in another 10 years, hopefully we'll be looking back, and maybe to us it still seems too small, but a lot more consumers are buying good chocolate made with FBM machines and the machines as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Ciao. Bye.